Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Salamat Pagi. And a very good morning to all of you. After COVID, we have had a number of webinars that included President of Pakistan, the Foreign Minister, Advisor to the PM on Security, Education Minister, and the number of them. A large number of ambassadors and foreign dignitaries have participated in our seminars.
Thank you very much, Commodore Malik Sahab. It is indeed a great pleasure and honor for me to moderate today's webinar on historic perspective of Indonesia-Pakistan relations and the future aspirations. Indonesia has ever been one of the closest friendly countries of Pakistan. On behalf of Chairman Mr. Ikram Sehgal and members of the Board of Governors, I would like to welcome His Excellency Adam Mulawarman Tugio, the Honorable Ambassador of Indonesia to Pakistan. Now may I request Ambassador Mia Sanaullah to please present synopsis over Indonesia. Ambassador Mia Sanaullah, please.
I think Indonesia is a country which is the new phase of history that is making in that region. As stated by Farooq Sahab, our relationship goes beyond the independence or prior to the independence of Indonesia. There have been intense correspondence between the founding fathers of the two countries. And then there have been Muslims from subcontinent who shed their blood for the independence struggle of our Indonesian brothers. And their families are living in Indonesia, and they are very proud Pakistanis. As far as I recall, there are no problems, no tension, no restraining factors that can confine our friendship, cooperation of all kind to a limit. So the limit, it is a relationship which does not suffer from any encumbrances, in any restraints. But still, I would not say that we can touch the sky as far as we intend to enhance our cooperation. There are limitations, but both the countries are dead set to remove the restrictions. They have recently come up with action programs how to remove the stalemate which has come through or set in the bilateral relations. Problem is, both the countries are struggling against their efforts to modernize and still face issues such as terrorism, underdevelopment, and interference from abroad. Now, the situation is good for Indonesia despite the problems of the COVID and despite the US rising conflict with China and moving its interest or focus from here to that region and creating a kind of destability for the peace-loving ASEAN people. I would say that we have come a long way. There was only 10 years ago, we didn't have any defense agreement. We didn't have this trade agreements. PTA was signed after much difficulties during my stay over there, and now it has been expanded. I hope with the efforts of my dear friend Ambassador Adam, we will see this atmosphere of friendship grow further and bringing in the fruits of cooperations. Here I stop, and I would look forward to questions and answers. Thank you, sir.
Now, I would like to request our today's plenary speaker, His Excellency Adam Mulawarman Tugio, for his discourse. Mr. Ambassador, please.
Thank you so very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, let me express my gratitude to you, Mr. Co-Chair, Mr. Khalid Mir, for inviting me to join these sessions and then discuss the relationship between Indonesia and Pakistan. If I may share some, PowerPoint to highlight, this, I will, kindly ask permissions to use, some of the PowerPoint to once again highlight why Indonesia and Pakistan is, not only the foundations which is have a strong and solid foundation historically, but also how then we would be able to once again the reap benefit of the commonalities between the two countries, not only in terms of the shared value that we have, being the two biggest Muslim populous countries, but also the fact that the strategy that now is being pursued by the Pakistani government actually corresponds with the strategy of Indonesia, and also beyond Indonesia, the ASEAN. I learned, for instance, today the government is also pivoting to geoeconomy, whereby the Prime Minister has put a lot of emphasis on projecting the importance of Pakistan as a hub to connect to the Central Asia, the western part of China, and also to the South Asia. Likewise, the Indonesia and ASEAN also, put a lot of emphasis on, creating hub, making a hub for expanding the trade relations, not only Indonesia, but also beyond Indonesia, beyond ASEAN, and also beyond what I mean beyond ASEAN, I refer to the RCEP, the newly arrangements being concluded between ASEAN and five our dialogue partner, Australia, New Zealand, Republic of Korea, China, and Japan. So that's the potentials that I would like also to highlight on the ASEAN and Pakistan through the ASEAN relationship. Now, in terms of the Indonesia-Pakistan, Ambassador Sanaullah already mentioned the foundations are very strong. It goes beyond the historical foundations, but there are some limitations also, which I think this is something that we also want to improve. Nowadays, as Ambassador Sanaullah mentions, we enjoyed the good relationship, which actually encompassing a lot of aspects of bilateral relations on the politics, the events, the economic and social cultures. There is a lot of foundation for the two countries to expand their relations. And the good news is because the mechanism for strengthening the bilateral relations already existing. So the challenges for us, I think, how to make a more structural engagements at the highest level. In the politics, we have a lot of a framework like political dialogues, bilateral committee consultations, but we need to have higher representations, for instance, at the ministerial level. That's why nowadays the two countries are now working in, concluding the joint ministerial committee which hopefully will be chaired by the two foreign ministers. So that's the idea of having a more engagement at the highest level. See, you see in this slide how the trade is doubled, before and after the PTA, and even last year during the pandemic, we see that the trade between the two countries also slightly increased, around 8%. Why ASEAN is important? Because if you look at, there's a lot of research who already indicate that the futures of economy will lies on East Asia, and I think in terms of the numbers of people, population, the market share for the global economy, you see from those presentations how the importance of East Asia for the global economy. Some of the consequences, for instance, I wrote it. I think the interdependence is more high, by country to country, country to business, and business to business. So I think this is some things that we are very keen to work together with different stakeholders in Pakistan, including with Karachi Councils of Foreign Relations, in once again raising the awareness, the importance of Indonesia, and also the importance of ASEAN for bilateral relations with Pakistani. I think in terms of the trade, there is the numbers speak for itself. How the potentials of the Indonesia and ASEAN for the Pakistan, and I guess let's work together. I'm certainly looking forward to get input from you, to get suggestions how the two countries could get the benefit of this the expanding arrangement that we have in the region, and also using the foundations of bilateral relations between Indonesia and Pakistan. I stop here. And certainly looking forward to have more discussions with you. Thank you so very much.
It's a brief comment. To me, Indonesia is Sukarno, as is Quaid-e-Azam for us in Pakistan. To me, Indonesia is graves of Pakistani soldiers in Surabaya. To me, Indonesia is Naga Rangsang and Brahmasatra, the two Indonesian submarines that came to Pakistan in September 1965. To me, Indonesia is Comar-class missile boats in Chittagong that came to help Pakistan in September 65, which are equal to the boats which sank Ilat in Mediterranean. To me, Indonesia is gratitude of 3 super constellations that Pakistan got them across to Indonesia. I feel these historic facts must get translated into the present with the increase of trade and travel, as pointed out by yourself, Excellency, and our Ambassador, Mia Sanaullah. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you so very much, Commodore Malisa, for your kind word toward the Indonesian, and we also we indebted to the Pakistani soldier who helped the Indonesian government during the early period of our independence. Remember, we also thought in the history books that the Pakistani soldier helped Indonesia through the Quaid-e-Azam's decision at that time to send the instruction to Pakistani soldiers to help the Indonesians during the early period of our independence. And I guess if my recollections stand well, in 1997, the Indonesian government invited the living soldiers of the Pakistani at that time to travel to Indonesia, and they were awarded the highest accoladed in Indonesia to be presented at the times by the presidents of Indonesia. I think that was the history that we were taught also in our schools.
Excellency, it's a pleasure listening to you. What is your assessment about countries like Pakistan and Indonesia joining hands in the area of science and technology, which is now one of the areas where we should concentrate? Your suggestions, sir.
Quite right when you mentioned about the enthusiasms of President Habibie in once again developing the aero industry in Indonesia. Even it was his idea that paved the way for the establishments of one of the biggest aero industry in Indonesia, who produced small aeroplane CN-234, which I guess Pakistanis also purchased four of them in part of the Pakistani Air Force. We just also working together with Republic of Korea, with South Korea, in producing one of the fighter jet now jointly produced by Indonesia and South Korea. In Korea, with certainly with the agreement with the US, because it's like F-16s, but I don't recall precisely the code of this. But I think this is one of the area whereby the two countries, have the advantage of working together on the defense, sectors.
Worthy member from Saudi Arabia, Mr. Muhammad Siraj. Excellency, his question is with regards to the promotion of bilateral tourism opportunities in both the countries, especially in Pakistan. Like, is there any possibility from Indonesia to invest in our northern areas, which can help us also to promote tourism in Pakistan?
I think the questions raised by Brother Muhammad Siraj is very important. Tourism, one of the tourisms. I learned that Indonesia and Pakistan are very blessed, with abundant tourist destinations, and also very scenic scenery, in Pakistan, and also the unique cultures, tradition in Pakistan, like Indonesia also have those. So we are very blessed with those kind of the heritage. Yesterday, if I may, tell you frankly, we have also have a consultations with tour operators in Indonesia. They explore possibilities to sell the package of Pakistani tourists for the Indonesians visitors, because I think it already make wave in Indonesia how beautiful Pakistan is, how worth Pakistani is to travel, because Pakistan is like Europe. You have 4 seasons, unlike Indonesia with 2 seasons, tropical season. So they approached me, and then I've been also certainly I advised them to go to the Pakistani embassy first in Indonesia, because I believe those are their job in promoting tourism. But I'm more than happy to work together in promoting Pakistani tourist sectors. There's a lot of interest, to be sure, and during my communication with them now, we are exploring possibilities of organizing a webinar with them together with tour operator here in Pakistan.
I have another 2 questions from one of the distinguished participant of today's webinar, Mr. Salman Hassan. The first question is with regards to the recent situation in Afghanistan. where Pakistan is very keen to assist the growth and development of Afghanistan. So what do you think that Indonesia can play in the growth of Afghanistan? And secondly, this is with regards to the the oil exhibitions here in Karachi. The ex-ambassador, the former ambassador, Excellency Ivan Sudi Emri used to visit frequently to in edible oil conferences in Karachi. And senior GAPKI officials also came from Indonesia. So what is your plan to visit Karachi in this regard?
The questions. Let me address the last question first. Due to the COVID, certainly we have to limit our our activities. That's why I met several times virtually with the Pakistani edible soil importer here in Pakistan. Even in the last two days, we met with one of the biggest importer of palm oil from Indonesia here in Islamabad. But we will certainly continue what already been undertook by my predecessor, who is a good friend of mine, Ambassador Iwan Amri, to send people from Indonesia to attend a Pakistan Edible Oil Conference in Karachi. In fact, one of the first steps that we are going to organize in Faisalabad, hopefully next month, on this the subject, we will be hosting or having the conference through webinars in collaborations with Faisalabad Chamber of Commerce and also with Faisalabad oil producers and also importer. But that was on the pipeline. Hopefully the health situation improve next year, so we would be able to send more people from Indonesia to attend Pakistan's edible oil conference. Now on the first questions, on the Afghanistan questions, I think the Indonesian government first commended the contributions, the role and contribution of Pakistan in facilitating the peace process. I think there is no countries who made tremendous effort in facilitating the peace process in Afghanistan.
So I would like to ask a last question. This is with regards to the PTA, which was signed in 2013, and it's been like 8 years that this PTA has been signed, and we have not yet signed free trade agreement. What do you say about this, that how long it will take to sign this FTA so that Pakistani exporters can also get access to the Indonesian market? So I would like to have your comment on that, please.
Yeah, this is something that we keep reminding friends in Pakistan, different stakeholders in Pakistan. Ambassador Sanaullah already mentions the importance of a concrete implementations of vision is policies. Deepening engagements need more structural engagement, and I guess two things that needs to be done actually, or three things are probably more concise to reflect this. If you look at the way how we would be able to enhance bilateral cooperations, look at I'm using a tripod analogy. It is like a tripod. You have to have a solid foundations on the political, the economic, and also socio-cultural affairs. So now the Atiga. This is before the PTA, the study of the FTA already been concluded in 2003, actually, by the Pakistani government at the time, even before we concluded the PTA. But I think nowadays, with the RCAP being concluded last year by the ASEAN, this year by the ASEAN, which will provide a huge opportunity for Pakistan, and I think Pakistan need to revisit not only the FTA but also study possibilities of the RCEP. If you look at the RCEP, it will, the huge population, a market size of 30% of world population. 5 RCEP countries, Australia, China, Indonesia, Japan, and South Korea, are members of the G20. The total market revenue is 481 billion by 2025, the projections. And also the compound annual growth rate beyond 5% over the 20 to 25. So with the total GDP of 38.8 billion or 30% of global GDP. So I would like to encourage the Pakistani friends here to look beyond the FTA, ASEAN, and Pakistan, because now with the RCEP, although RCEP, has yet to be entered into force, but I think it is worth also contemplating to see beyond that.
I would like to request our co-chairman, Admiral Khalid for his concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farooq Afzal. Excellency, it was such a wonderful experience to hear you today, and a very fruitful one indeed, as I said. As you mentioned, our relationship on the historical aspect has advanced through more than 40 MOUs and agreements signed between our countries in the fields of economy, trade, defense, tourism, just about anything you can think of. And also, I believe we have a joint policy planning dialogue platform, along with a framework for Pakistan-Indonesia security. And also, we have a joint defense committee, which I believe hasn't met for some time. We could perhaps broaden the scope of these expressions by more regular meetings in the light, especially, of the new world order that seems to be coming into existence. Then there are lots of other points that you nicely mentioned, which I can't really relay all of them right now, but the people-to-people contact is one of the most important things there is now in the shrinking size of the world. And unless that is given the emphasis that is required, then the movements can only take place when they join in to move things on education, on health, on all these lines. I think the people-to-people contact is very important. I can go on for a long time to talk on the number of subjects that you brought out, but I'd like to thank you, Excellency, for all what you said today and all the points that you've given for us to move forward. And as I said, our Secretary is going to have a large few hours sitting down and writing all that we've learned today, and he's going to send it to the Ministry, I hope, to further in furtherance of our aims and objectives together. So, Excellency, thank you very much indeed. I'm most grateful to you for having been with us today, most of the forenoon. And I hope that in your next visit to Karachi, we shall be honored by your visit to our council as well. So thank you very much indeed again.
Our chairman, Mr. Ikram Sehgal, has just landed Lahore and he has joined the meeting. So I would also like to request him to say briefly something about the meeting and about the relations. Our chairman, Mr. Ikram Sehgal, please.
Thank you, Farooq Sahab. Excellency, first of all, it's a great honor, and please, I apologize because I was flying from Karachi to Lahore. I could not join earlier, but I just listened to the last at least 30 minutes of it quietly, and really I'm very, very glad that you could join us today. And let me tell you, I know, just something which is common is that, Commodore Sadeed Malik is a submariner. From the Pakistan Navy, and the first things which Pakistanis always remember is during 1965 war, the 4 submarines that you sent to help us during the war. So we can never forget that tremendous gesture of friendship. And like our co-chairman has said, that certainly we would be honored and privileged whenever you come to Karachi, that you give us time not only for a webinar, but also to give you, along with the webinar, a lunch or a dinner, so that we can really talk with you and talk through you with all the think tanks, all the thinking people and the businessmen in Karachi and the elite of Karachi. Thank you very much, Excellency.